Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting. If you rise for the invocation and pledge allegiance, please. Brian, Commissioner DeRocha.
Bow our heads. Our Father God, we come to you with thanksgiving and praise, Lord. Father, you know the business before us tonight. And Father, we pray for your guidance in the decisions we make. Father, we know that times are tough, and we want to be diligent and be about your work, Lord. Father, we just ask that we would glorify you in the things we do and say, that we'd honor you with our words, and that we would go out of here a good group and a unified group. We just thank you and praise you and lift this all up in Jesus' precious name.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Commissioner Barnes.
Here.
Commissioner Mulder.
Present.
Commissioner Augustine. Commissioner Haskell. Commissioner Pearl Wright. Here. Commissioner Youngquist.
Here.
Commissioner Moudry.
Here.
Commissioner Brayler.
Here.
Commissioner Drosha.
Here.
Commissioner Toomey. Commissioner Hanson.
Here.
Commissioner Lotzenheiser.
Here.
Commissioner Holmes.
Here.
Commissioner Rogers. Chairman Mott.
Here. Are there any agenda additions or changes? Yes, Commissioner Mulder.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to remove the classification request under Ways and Means at the request of the treasurer. And I would like to add a CCAB appointment to the public safety report as number 3.
All right, do we have any support? Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner T.J. Youngquist. All those in favor? Oh, hold on. Okay, go ahead. I've got another one. Go ahead. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. I got to also amend the agenda. So I would move that we move the administrator's report from item 10 to item 8 in limited public comment. Moved by Commissioner Lotzenheiser, supported by Commissioner DeRocha. All those in favor? All those opposed? Any other addition or changes to the agenda? All right. Moving on, approval of the July 17th minutes. Moved by Commissioner Rogers, supported by Commissioner Lotzenheiser. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Next up, we have some communications. We have a letter from retiree Judy Ash. We have a resolution from Clinton County opposing the MDHHS plans to implement the new conflict-free access and planning strategies in Michigan. This is a similar resolution that the county also passed on June 21st. Lenawee County resolution opposing MDHHS approach to the meetings, new conflict-free access and planning strategy in Michigan, and urging collaborative development of an alternative approach. Again, this is similar to the resolution that the county passed on June 21st. We also have a notice of hearing and notice of opportunity to comment regarding the application of Michigan Electric Transmission Company LLC to construct a major transmission line. This is for the construction of a new transmission line from Gratiot County to the existing Oneida Charter Township substation. And then lastly, we have a Granger request to be considered as a member of the MPC, the creation of the new committee for the materials management plan that will be considered later on the agenda. If approved, there will be a process in place for the selections of those members. So that's communications.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but in regards to the resolution considering MDHHS this actions. I will tell you now that they have indicated, the original deadline was October 1st when they were going to implement. They have indicated that they are taking another look at it. I appreciate the resolution that this board passed, and as well as Clinton County, because I think that was part of the reason why they're taking a very long second look.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for those comments.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Controller Administrator's Report.
Thank you. I wanted to read a message I normally don't like to read. Well, I can read, but I don't like to read. But I want to read this message so I'm clear and concise. I'd like to start by talking about last Friday's Ways and Means Committee meeting. As you just heard, Commissioner Mulder has amended the agenda to remove the item related to a position reclassification. The treasurer and I met and have had a very productive discussion regarding policy, and he asked for the request to be withdrawn. I want to be clear about two things. The treasurer values that position and the employee. You heard from some frustrated elected officials and directors that morning. They spoke because they value their employees too. It becomes overwhelming when these individuals have been fighting for pay increases for their employees year after year. When I say we have a structural salary issue, this is where the frustration hits us hard. It becomes personal when we discuss pay. Our compensation structure has pitted employees against one another for years. We have struggled with general salary structure and those in our bargaining groups as well. Struggle only occurs when a system is broken, and ours is broken. Last Friday was uncomfortable for us all with our people speaking so passionately, but this is what we should all want. We have a commitment in our executive team to stand together for our employees. That is what you heard. That is the frustration. For all of us, it's real, and we have come together to do what we can with the limited resources we have. We are a team. At Friday's meeting, separate funding sources were discussed. Multiple offices operate from a separate revenue source, but that does not mean we should utilize those funds by increasing pay or spending. Countywide policies are the only sound way to ensure we are good stewards of these funds, because they are all generated through taxes, fees, fines, etc. These are all funds of the people of this county. We can't all continue to argue about the past, the inequities that exist, the facilities we work in, the technology we rely on, and we can scream until we're blue in the face. We have a problem, and it's budgetary. It is not financial irregularities that have caused this. It's flat out a structural deficit. That is out of control. It's in our office, we review this every day. The county's financial situation is not new. It has been a struggle for years. What is new, the leadership on this board and the work that has been done to take the difficult, necessary steps by allowing the residents to decide what services they want. We welcome tough questions because these are tough times. I've been here for 36 years. I formed the executive leadership team because we must work together to perform in the way residents and the board should expect. None of us can change the past, but we can learn from it and put in place policies and procedures that will make us accountable to the public and give our board the data they need to make informed decisions. I am committed to working with the board to adopt financial policies that will maintain financial stability. I have an incredible team in my office. They are all at the top of their game. Go to a town hall, attend a local community board meeting as we provide information about the county's finances. This is a new team, and they are working countless hours to ensure the board and local communities are fully informed. We should have been doing this for years. That is what Eaton County has failed to do. But for this board has given me the ability to hire a team that will ensure we are communicating. I feel the need to apologize to cities, to townships, and villages for not collaborating or at least having conversations. We don't know their issues and struggles, and they certainly don't know ours. On the agenda tonight is the 100% tax payment fund action. When the treasurer and I met, we discussed the resolution as proposed. But there is a difference of opinion on what the surplus for that fund actually is. For the last several years, we have utilized $500,000 from the fund as a revenue source for the general fund. This resolution includes $1 million for 24-25. The treasurer, unaware to me and the board, indicated he attempted to develop a policy on this fund but was met with resistance from previous administration. In a very real and heartfelt discussion, the treasurer and I agree that we should establish and propose a policy to the board that will give this and future boards a methodology for determining a surplus with the concurrence of the treasurer. This is one of those things where if differences of opinion are not walked through beforehand, then a process for how to determine a surplus can be detrimental to how we balance this budget. The treasurer and my office are committed to implementing a structure necessary so there's no doubt where and how the board can utilize these funds. The finance director has contacted an independent accounting firm and our auditors to review the calculation she has done. And the treasurer will review that calculation and policy. We plan to present this at the next Ways and Means Committee. The declaration of surplus would then be reviewed and recommended as a transfer to the general fund. Our 24-25 budget hearing is on September 10th at 7 p.m. and will include the $1 million transfer of the declared surplus that went through Ways and Means. The problem is that there still leaves the budget at over $3.1 million in expenses over revenues. Adopting the budget by using fund balance from the general fund creates concerns for the finance director and for me. This board and the public should have the same concerns. Adopting a budget with a fund balance of just over $3 million at the end of 24-25 is not the way to provide the residents with the security that we can maintain services and provide employees more stability in the short term. This is not a sustainable source of revenue. It should be clear that barring additional revenue, the board will begin working with offices on reductions. Lastly, I want to note, giving a pay raise to employees who have gone without so we can retain their services is not a bad look. Talking about technology and infrastructure needs is not a bad look. Working with the treasurer to establish this budget and give our employees a little more time to prepare for potential catastrophic cuts is not a bad look. A bad look is not being honest with our staff and the public on how we got here and what we have lost by continuing to drag along a budget with no chance of recovery. This county needs to begin setting policies like the declaration of surplus. The treasurer and administration agree. That is the way to ensure sound government. Moving forward into next year, we will work on sustainable policies that give the Board of Commissioners the tools to make decisions that secure county finances into the future. A common problem statewide is preserving fund balance, including the delinquent tax fund. And going forward, the county will have a solution. We cannot get to this point again, and we can only do that with policies and precedent. Thank you. I appreciate you all listening.
Thank you, Controller Selby. All right, next we're going to move on to limited public comment. If anyone would like to address the board, please approach the podium. We're going to give you 3 minutes, please.
I would like to thank Controller Selby for having the backs of the employees of Eaton County. I was here to speak, and I don't feel I need to any longer because I agree with everything that she said. The employees are the heart and the back of Eaton County. I'm a 21-year veteran. I am your code enforcement officer and your planning and zoning administrator. My job is policies and procedures. So I appreciate everything that you said. Also, while I'm here, running back to the City of Potterville's National Night Out, I thought it was a good time to report that the Eaton County Sheriff's Department, Emergency Services, and Central Dispatch are all there holding hands with the City of Potterville, creating a wonderful event for your residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on. Next, we have up the committee reports and resolutions. First up, we have Health and Human Services with Commissioner Lotzenheiser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have no action items. We did have an update from Judge Pollard, and we did adopt the recommended truancy intervention program. It was made aware to us the statutory requirements of that, and so we did make that change to our initial juvenile justice millage decisions. And then in that regard, we also received a report and spoke with Martha from Health and Human Recovery, and again, an updated report on the substance use and misuse opioid settlement that continues to move forward with the consultant. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Lawson Heiser. Next up, we have Public Safety Committee with Commissioner Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Public Safety met on Thursday, August 1st, 2024. 3 action items. I'll get right to them. First one is a resolution to approve the intensive detention reentry program agreement extension with Michigan Department of Corrections. This is just a renewal, and that goes through September 30th of 2025, and I would move it.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barnes, supported by Commissioner Mulder. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Next is the resolution to amend the West Side Residential Alternative to Prison, or the RAP agreement, with the Michigan Department of Corrections. This also is a renewal and goes through September 30th of 2025, and I would move it.
Moved by Commissioner Barnes, supported by Commissioner Hanson. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
All right, and lastly, the add-on there from the agenda, the Community Corrections Advisory Board would like to appoint Judge Adriaan van Langenveld. I'm sorry if I messed that up. I apologize. I'd like to move that.
Moved by Commissioner Barnes, supported by Commissioner Rogers. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Barnes. Next up, we have Information Technology and Communications Committee with Commissioner DeRosa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we met on Wednesday, August 7th. In that meeting, we heard from our Communications Director, Logan Bailey, and he gave us his monthly report, talked about our county newsletter, which if you're not receiving, you can come to our county website and take a look at it. It's very informative. He also talked to us about promoting the next recycling event in August and gave an update on the county social media interactions. We have our Facebook page, if you're not aware. And we heard from Jonathan Merrick, GIS coordinator, and he presented a tax allocation calculator, and it's on our website also. And I think there's a QR code that goes along with that. Is that correct? Okay. So you can feed your address into that calculator and see what the proposed millage increase might, or how it might affect your property. So I would suggest that perhaps you go to that. Technology Services Director Eric Daly came along and talked to us about the technology upgrades at the youth facility, and that's coming up to a close. I don't know when we're going to be moving into that facility, but it's coming close, which is amazing considering that we didn't even plan on that facility a little over a year ago. So it's amazing how quickly that came around. And that was a gift from the state of Michigan. And Nathan Nybert, Deputy Director of Technology Services, came by and talked to us about Verizon's LTE signal quality and gave us a map, and it's amazing how many places don't have signal. So I don't know how that's going to work out. Chad Powers spoke to us about the vandalism in our parks, and in this year alone, we've had over $70,000 in vandalism to Eaton County parks. So as a response to that, we've started with putting cameras out at Crandall Park, and they are a live feed to Chad Powers and some others in our county. So we can see what's going on in real time, 24/7. So I greatly appreciate that. So I think we had a resolution here also. Resolution to amend intensive detention reentry, is that the, no, that's the wrong one, excuse me. I gotta go one more here. Okay, thank you. Resolution to approve technology support services agreement. Whereas the Berry Eaton District Health Department is interested in Eaton County continuing to provide technology support services to Berry Eaton District Health Department through the County Technology Service Department. And whereas the Berry Eaton District Health Department desires to enter an agreement with Eaton County to deliver these technology services to include hardware and software and user support services. And whereas the Information Technology and Communication Committee reviewed the proposed contract for technology support services and recommended its approval. Now therefore be it resolved that the Eaton County Board of Commissioners approves the agreement for technology support services with the Berry Eaton District Health Department. And be it further resolved that the chairman of the Board of Commissioners is authorized to execute said agreement on behalf of Eaton County, and I would move that resolution.
Moved by Commissioner DeRosa, support by Commissioner Lawson-Heiser. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner DeRosa. Next up, we have Public Works and Planning Committee with Commissioner Rogers.
Public Works and Planning met on August the 14th, and we did have one resolution, but we also took care of some other business that I'm going to mention first, and we'll do the resolution. The recycling trailer was unveiled at the Village of Vermontville on August 1st, followed by a ribbon-cutting ceremony, and a new dock, and it's a very nice one. It's all metal, and it was donated after the last one was destroyed by someone I'd like to get my hands on. But anyway, a new dock out at Crandall Park. We held a ribbon-cutting ceremony, and we want to thank the Freightner Boat Lifts and Dock for the generous gift. It's very, very nice. You should, it's all metal. It's very nice. You should take a walk out there and see what a nice dock we have, and I hope all the users of Crandall Park appreciate it. And it was also reported that the Parks Department has a new director, and he's going to be starting September the 3rd. So we have a lot of good things to look forward to. And my resolution is the Resource Recovery Department presented a resolution to establish the Materials Management Planning Committee, and I move this resolution for approval.
Moved by Commissioner Rogers, supported by Commissioner DeRosa. Any questions or comments on that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that report, Commissioner Rogers. Next up, we have the Ways and Means Committee with Commissioner Mulder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a few resolutions, and I will ask Controller Sobey to describe what they are.
So the first amendment that we're looking for is to increase the budget to participate with Windsor Charter Township on a Michigan Tax Tribunal appeal in an amount not to exceed $14,600. The second is parks, and that is to a budget to remove the Lincoln Brick home that is in need of removal, $30,000 there. Central Dispatch, this is for radios and equipment that were not allowable under the surcharge, so they will be charged to the Central Dispatch Fund.
Thank you, Controller Sobey. And I would add for the group's information that the supervisor from Windsor Township came and spoke to the committee. And as you all know, the properties are often, their values, their taxable values are reassessed or changed by the Michigan Tax Tribunal. And it's a long procedure, and often small townships or villages are going against large corporations and corporate lawyers to defend what their tax assessments are on some of these properties. And so in this particular instance, we've agreed to help Windsor Township with their legal fees on this particular case. And it happens regularly throughout the taxing in each of the cities and the townships. And I suspect that we'll be talking in the future about a policy, how we can help these groups in these fights, because honestly, it affects everyone in the county. So it'll be probably a policy we'll develop in the future. As to the other ones, I would move all of them.
Motion.
I'd move them.
Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner Lawson-Heiser. Any questions or comments on that? Yeah, it's Commissioner Youngquist.
I do have a question, just because I know nothing about tax tribunals. Have we ever contributed to the legal fees to help in these types of situations, or is this kind of new territory?
We have done it one other time, and that was with Sunfield Township. It is becoming a practice throughout the state. Other county administrators, it's on our listserv, are talking about how to develop a policy that sets, regulations, rules on what determines what is the best participation to have. Obviously, if it's something you're not going to win, we don't want to do it. If the money is nominal, you're not going to want to do it. But if it's something significant that will affect the local unit in the county, then we would want to participate. But we have to set those parameters up, and the treasurer has offered to work on that with us as well.
Do we have like a formula for how we determine how much we're able to contribute, or do they just have a gap that they look to have filled?
This was done with a formula with the township supervisor, and the participation for the county is 73%, and it's on the amount of taxes that we would lose. That's what the basis is.
So this could be, I'm just thinking in terms of fairness, if there's other requests like this, you
Yes.
could replicate this and have the same methodology to,
Yes.
so someone can't say you help them more.
Correct, and this is something we should make sure that we're looking into, because obviously Delta Township is large. That could be one where we would have some large MTTs, so we're gonna need to determine how we would work together with them.
Just an example of a place that policies need to be developed so that we're even-handed with all of our partners. So, speaking of policies, the next one,
We need to vote on this.
we vote yet? Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Holmes.
I just wanted for real clarification. It's a large corporation that's trying to say they owe less, valued less, so they pay less taxes when they really should be paying more. So then it goes to the state tribunal. Okay,
Yes.
got that for sure.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
The next resolution is the one that the controller referenced with the treasurer as to transferring over funds from the delinquent tax fund to the general budget. This resolution indicates the transfer will be $1 million, and I would move it.
Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner Drosha. Any questions, comments? Commissioner Youngquist.
I must be missing context. So this type of policy or resolution didn't exist before this.
No. So this is a general resolution that the treasurer has done to declare. He's basically giving the advice to the Board of Commissioners on what is available. What didn't exist in the past was a methodology that we would use to come up with an actual dollar amount that was not just 500,000 here, 500,000 there. So what we want to do is take care of this because we need this to include in the budget, and the treasurer and I will work together and have a policy for you next month.
So in other words, this is just a means of transparency in how money's being shifted from one fund to another.
Yes, and the treasurer has done this every year. We've just, again, utilized basically a flat dollar amount unless there was a special circumstance.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
The next one is a resolution that recognizes Revolutionary Patriot, and I would like Commissioner DeRosa to explain it as he brought it to the board.
Thank you, Commissioner Mulder. And I think Deb Milewski's in the audience tonight. I shook her hand when she came in. Well, okay. Oh, there you are. I'm going to read this resolution, but if you have follow-up information as to the time and date, I'd appreciate that if you could fill us in on that. But we have a family, the Wall family, John and Sally Wall, and John Wall fought in the Revolutionary War. He was captured by the British, and they settled in this area of Michigan, and they helped establish, it says here, Eaton Rapids Township. And the family would like to recognize their contribution to our nation. And our resolution is as follows. Whereas John Wall fought in the Revolutionary War on behalf of the colonies, and whereas John Wall was held a prisoner of war during the Revolutionary War, and whereas John and Sally Wall and their family of 10 children served local communities with vigor and patriotism, and were founding members of townships in our communities, including Eaton Rapids Township, therefore be it resolved that the Eaton County Board of Commissioners sees the importance of investing and building community, and so on the date of September 21st, 2024, declare this day to be Patriot Legacy Day. And I would move this resolution. And Deb, if you could tell us where that's going to be held, I'd appreciate it, if you know. Oh, I'm sorry, Sue. Okay. Thank you. Is that something we can include in our newsletter? Yeah. All right, thank you.
Logan, thumbs up.
Yeah, well, Controller's Office.
Our communications director is all over it. Okay, did you move the resolution?
Move the resolution.
Been moved by Commissioner Drosha, supported by Commissioner Lotzenheiser. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And I would move the claims and purchases.
Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner Lotzenheiser. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We were involved in our committee with the labor relations negotiations. We have contracts that were signed by the units, and I would like to have Mr. Dawson describe what the situation is and what we need to do.
Thank you. All right, well, we have 3 contracts. These are 3 new ones. We've already had 3 that have been approved. Structurally, these agreements follow in line with what we've done with other groups. I'd note that from a cost standpoint, these are reflected in the budget that currently has come before this body, so these costs estimated are built in there. If these are approved today, we will only have one other agreement that's outstanding, which would be our central dispatch supervisor unit. But we met with them today, and it was a very positive undertaking, so look forward to future meetings with them. I will try to move through quickly because I do have 3 summary pages, but if there are specific questions, please feel free to ask. And I would touch on one point. Controller Sobey had mentioned that when you do pay raises for people who've gone without pay, it's not a bad look. And so I do want to take a moment to talk about that. During COVID, we didn't have raises that even competed with inflation at all. All the contracts that the county had were done prior to that chaotic event. And the only way we made it through was we were able to do one-time retention bonuses. Fiscal year 22, it was $2,000. Fiscal year 23, it was $3,500. And then in 24, it was $2,500. Those were uniform across groups, and there was some variation for part-time and seasonal and et cetera, et cetera. But to give you perspective, a person topped out at our grade 4 non-union salary. In 2022, that retention bonus was 4.4% of their annual pay. For 23, that retention bonus was 7.4% of their annual pay. And in 24, that was 5.2%. And those were one-time dollars that are gone. And that's how we were able to retain our workforce through the chaos that we've had. We've come out on the other end of this, that in the last 5 years, our wages haven't beat inflation by 9.2%. So we're coming into bargaining under a huge deficit, which is a lot of the frustrations that you've heard from employees, whether in meetings here or in the public. But as we go through this, I just want to make clear, those are deliberations that this body has had as we've entered negotiations with our union groups, that if we want to have employees on the other side, we have to sit down, look them in the eye, and come away with an agreement that makes sense, even though we're under financial strain. And I think these agreements embody that, so I'll go through them, but I wanted to give that preface. So first up, we have Capital City Labor Program. This is the animal control group. It's a bargaining unit of 3 people. There's a one-time $500 bonus for bargaining unit members, as well as the ability to hire people at a higher step if they have military service or prior years of experience. Previously, our contracts didn't have any ability to give credit for any type of service, and we've tried to build that into our agreements with the different unions. We updated the disciplinary action section, which is more technical. We did some stuff in hours of work. Most of this was just reorganizing the work to be in line with how the job is done. We made a change with increase the rate of pay for the training officer. We're down somebody in animal control right now, so a unit of 3 and we're down 1. So this just gives a little bit of more pay in line with what we have with some of our other groups like the Sheriff's Department and Central Dispatch. No changes on on-call, leave of absence. We did the same sick leave accrual change that we've done with other groups. We went from 3 hours a week to 3.08. So that way it calculates out to 40 or 80 hours at the end of the year as opposed to a fraction. Holiday, we've got Juneteenth that was already a letter of understanding, and that's now formalized in the contract as opposed to just a side agreement. Personal leave struck, annual leave. There are retention plans that we've built into this. So coming into as an outsider and helping to assess the compensation structure of the county, it was heavily built around this idea of 10 years. 10 years you get vested for the pension. 10 years you get vested for your health care savings plan. And what we found was that doesn't compete in the economy of today. And so we've entered bargaining trying to build increments earlier in a person's career that give them incentive to stay until they qualify for our pension after 10 years. This annual leave is one of those, so we've increased the accruals as well as added cap increases so that there's a better build-up to get people past the 5-year mark and convince them to stay longer. Insurance and pension, just eliminating outdated unit language. We did a modest increase for the healthcare savings plan. This is something we set aside in employees, and they have it for when they retire. They can use it to cover out-of-pocket medical expenses. It's the equivalent of a flex spending account, which everybody's familiar with a lot through their employers, but it's money that you can set aside, it can grow, and then if you use it for allowable medical expenses, it's tax-free on the other side. Cleanup, we did longevity changes. This is where we've kind of incorporated the idea of retention bonuses into our actual policy. So after 5 years of service, they qualify for this, and it's $100 per year of service, capped out at 35. We're lucky if we get people to stay past 25 because that's often when they qualify for retirement, but we do have some people that are happy enough to stay a little bit later, and especially in the Sheriff's Department, if we can get somebody to stay 4 months past their retirement date, that's a big win because it's 4 months of time and tenure being able to get passed down to new employees. We did some cleanup with removing gender references. We've added a better differential for our lead animal control officer. The amount of responsibility on that position used to be a director and no longer is. So we reflected a better pay gap between other animal control officers in that position because of the amount of responsibility. We've got an emergency declaration, which is formalizing a letter of agreement we came up with that big storm back in August. This is helpful for us because we are trying to standardize that process because when you're done with a major event that gets declared an emergency from the governor's office, you can submit for reimbursement, but the process to do that is very detailed. So we're trying to build structure across all of our union groups to make submission for reimbursement easier. Duration, we did a 3-year contract, 1 year of wages at 5%, And with a reopener in year 2 and 3 of the contract, that means the contract settled, we have a year of wages, and we give the public the opportunity to weigh in what they think the county should look like, and we'll go back to the table 2 years from now to talk about the next 2 years of the agreement, or 1 year from now to talk the next 2 years of the agreement. And then we added a licensure and operational stipend for the animal control officer because they are licensed for all the medication, drugs. There are a ton of licensing through MDARD and other state agencies that this officer has to hold. And so we put in a stipend annually for that position. I can do the same thing, but I'll move quicker because structurally very similar. Same thing with POAM, which is the Police Officer Association of Michigan, represents our central dispatch non-supervisor group. Similarly, we have a $500 stipend, same change on disciplinary action. We added a volunteer opportunity for non-call events, which was helpful for operational purposes. We did the same sick pay, as well as built out some language for processes more technical to the use of sick time. Same thing with the holiday, same thing with the annual leave. We did do a reduction of 2% on their pension contributions for the employees. This was similar to what we did with other groups. We added the switching them over to reflect the updated piece for the healthcare savings. This is a group where they have a percentage contribution as opposed to a dollar amount, I believe. But yeah, I believe so. And same longevity changes, same building closure, and the same 5%. Next is International Union of Operating Engineers. This group is representing our facilities and custodial staff, which has one of those groups that when we have an opening in there, they remain open for months because in order to be a member of this team, you have to be able to pass a drug test, and you also have to have security clearance because you will be going into secure facilities and after hours and et cetera, et cetera. So we have found this has been difficult for us to recruit because of our wages. So we've done some structural things here. We did a creation of lead worker, which just gives a designation of a lead per classification at the discretion of the department director. Same sick leave, same holiday, same annual leave. We did add in there they had compensatory time that they could build up as opposed to having it paid out. We just moved that from 40 cap up to 80 so they can bank 80 hours of comp time. And then they can do quarterly payouts on that if they choose to, up to the employee. Language cleanup on insurance. And then same here, we did the modest increase on that healthcare savings. This group, we did a $500 retention bonus one time. We included in there the ability to offer that to new hires as long as they stay with the county for 6 months after dispersal of that $500 bonus. So back to the recruitment retention, this is a harder to recruit area, so they have slightly different, but it's in line with what we've done with other groups. Same longevity, 3-year contract with wage reopener in year 2 and 3 of the agreement, and it's the 5% cost of living. We did a small market adjustment up front when we took a look at some of the comparables, but it was, I think, less than 2% for this group. And it hopefully will make us more competitive if we have to fill these positions again.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. And I would move all 3 of these contracts.
Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner Moudry. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And I would like to take a moment to thank the controller and the treasurer for the work that they did. We got a little heated on Friday, and sometimes you have to discuss things and work things out. And in the end, we all are a family here at the county, working for the best of the citizens at the out in the county, and essentially we work for them. And I want them to know that this group is dedicated and cares about their jobs. So I'm glad we came to some resolution, and we will move on from here. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Mulder. All right, moving on. We have commissioner comment. Is there any commissioners have any comments? Yes, Commissioner Moudry.
I delayed my comments until the end. Okay, and I want to talk about what we call the dark stores syndrome, which is, what is it, Sunfield that's dealing with it? Okay, and I did, excuse me.
Windsor Town.
Windsor, sorry. I've done some work. One of my other positions is on the Delta Planning Commission. And when we had the Delta Crossings development come into the area there, I did some work on the dark stores syndrome for the Saginaw corridor area, okay? Now, Treasurer Robinson and I have talked about this for a number of years. And so I did some work, I did some research, which is all readily available with the Michigan Tax Tribunal, okay? And what I found, this was about 2 years ago. What I found is that Delta and Eaton County lost $10 million of taxable value with commercial endeavors going to the Michigan Tax Tribunal and fighting their tax rate. $10 million, okay? I was told that, well, $10 million in the great scheme of things isn't a whole lot of money, okay? And so I got figuring, I went, well, $10 million represents a subdivision of 50 homes not paying any taxes, okay? Now, there are law firms that specialize in going to the Michigan Tax Tribunal representing commercial endeavors, okay? They're experts at this. And with Windsor needing some help, oh yeah, they need help. Because us over in Delta, we get beat up pretty bad. You go to the Michigan Tax Tribunal and, oh, they treat you poorly there. And you might get a slight reduction in what they ask for, but not a whole lot, okay? Recently, the legislature, the House and the Senate, is moving to give us some help in fighting this, okay? And it's going to be a matter of changing the laws and how this is done. And I mean, this is national. You can do research, and this is national. Little communities are getting beat up. And we're in a position here where we're scrambling for tax dollars to pay for things. So if you really want to get an eye-opener, do some research on dark stores syndrome, because it's absolutely scary at what big money and power can do to little communities like us. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Moudry. Anybody else? Any other commissioners? All right. Do we have any unfinished business?
None?
No unfinished business? Any old business?
No.
Any new business?
No.
And that brings us to our second limited public comment. So if you'd like to address the board, please step up to the podium. And again, please limit your time to 3 minutes. All right, seeing none. That brings us to the end of our meeting. We adjourn to
Chairman?
Tuesday. Excuse me.
I want to remind everyone that we are having our public hearing for this budget on the 10th, which is a Tuesday. It's not a Wednesday, and it's going to be at 7 o'clock, and no decisions will be made by this board at all. We are essentially presenting the budget to the public where they're making comments on it so that it can in turn be put in front of, adopted by the full board the following month. And if the public, there may be changes, but usually it's we need to present it to the public. So Be there, be square, 7 o'clock Tuesday night.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Mulder. So with that, we are adjourned till September 10th.